Hello, everybody. It's spooky time, and you know what that means. Horror movie review time. This time we're watching 1987's The Believers, and looking at the poster, I'm getting some seriously creepy vibes. The red and black color scheme with the faces peeking out of the buildings of what I can only assume is New York City gives me a little bit of a chill down my spine. It cannot be ignored that this stars the man, the myth, the legend, the balls that squeezed out a man with tiger's blood, Martin motherfucking Sheen.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Smells like victory.
I don't recognize any of the other cast members, but his co-star, Helen Shaver, seems to have been in a few other horror movies as some kind of scream queen. I also want to note that the kid who plays his son goes on to have some roles in some interesting movies like Kinsey, Shriek If You Know What I Did Last Friday, and... Oh, that's hysterical! The synopsis for this movie is Cal Jameson, a police psychologist, is forced to deal with a series of ritualistic murders and a malevolent cult. Oh, so it's basically like 7 before 7 came out, so that has to be a good thing, right? Maybe the written reviews will be more forgiving.
I found this movie to be so racist and illogical. There's a series of animal and then human sacrifices in New York City, which through a series of mind-boggling, ridiculous events leads the protagonist to the center of a fanatic religious sacrificial ritual. The ending was stupid. Cal's treatment as housekeeper/babysitter was ignorant, and the fascination with ancient African sacrificial rituals was disgusting. This movie definitely gave off a stench of the times.
Nah, there's no way it can be that bad.
The Believers opens with a death scene that strives to rip the picture of the American dream to shreds, but its effectiveness is ultimately killed by its irrelevance. For a much sharper example of this kind of curtain raiser, see Disturbia. After that, it gets bad. Submitted for your approval, there's Martin Sheen awkwardly glowering through every scene. A bunch of dead kids, hilarious racism, any appearance of a black man is accompanied by creepy music and tasteless plot turns, and a flaccid script that exists only to justify some screenwriter's research project about voodoo. That said, for a so bad it's good Hollywood video pick, this one's a charmer.
They at least say it's charming. I'm totally not coping right now, guys. Ha 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 ha.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Yeah, I ain't reading all that. Okay, so this isn't the kind of movie I expected, but all I can really do is watch and find out. So let's rip the band-aid off and get right into some cinema carnage.
I was running.
Deadass, there's literally a whole minute of Martin Sheen doing a Forrest Gump impression. We go inside this lady's house to see her preparing breakfast for her family, and what the fuck is that kid playing with, a Vorby? After some oddly written behavior between mother and son, named Lisa and Chris, we turn the corner and...
8:30, Cal.
In the business, we call this foreshadowing.
Oh, that can't be good. Forrest Sheen is apparently named Cal, and, of course, this is his family. Once again, there is some really weird banter between Cal and Lisa.
What time did your friends leave this morning?
Oh, I thought they were your friends. Well, we left about 3. We used to be able to go all night.
Yeah, I know, but I can't do it anymore.
What can't you do anymore? Eat your breakfast.
Wait, are you two implying that you spent the last night swinging in front of your kid?
Oh, you nasty ass bastard!
Things continue to get worse as Cal spills that new carton of milk they just got all over the floor. Lisa shooing him off to take a shower while she cleans up the mess. While doing so, Chris points out the growing issue with the coffee machine and...
coffee machine.
Oh, perfect.
Oh.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Well, that escalated quickly. Chris justifiably goes into a fit as he literally watches his mother electrocute herself to death, prompting Cal to come out and find that he's too late to save her. Interesting side note, they zoom in on the cross Lisa is wearing as she dies. I'm sure that has absolutely nothing to do with anything. And before I can even process what just happened, there's a dramatic cut to what looks like an African ritual with two very out-of-place white people just standing there holding what I can only assume is their kid. They give the kid off to a masked man who proceeds to lay him down on an altar near where the ritual is supposed to happen. The two white people drink this unknown liquid before a goat is slaughtered in front of them and then subsequently their kid. On my second watch, I noted a kid with oddly pale eyes watching all of this transpire. Put a pin in that. We cut right back to the city where we see Chris and Cal are moving into a new place after Lisa's death. We also learn that Cal is apparently a psychologist because for some godforsaken reason he is taking clients in his home where Chris can very easily hear what's going on. So much for patient confidentiality. And not only is he a psychologist, he's a psychologist for cops who are dealing with on-the-job trauma. After finding this out, I almost cringe out of my skin because Chris decides it's a bright fucking idea to ask the cop if he's sick, which very clearly upsets him. Please, for the love of God, people, if you take clients at home, make sure they have some actual privacy. We are then introduced to Cal's new landlady, Jessica, while she's bitching out the movers for punching a hole in the wall by the stairs. She and Cal flirt for a little bit before she leaves, and she asks him something that seemed like such a throwaway line at first.
Hey, listen, I lost one of my earrings. I think it might be in your apartment. It's pretty hard to miss. Then it might be in my bag. But if you see it, will you let me know?
I'll keep an eye out.
Putting a pin in that one, too. We cut to Cal and Chris at a park together and the weird African tie-ins start piling up quickly from here. One of which being Chris drawing a monkey and vanilla ice cream on the wall of a telephone booth. I can make a litany of comments here, but I'm gonna hold my tongue. While Cal's on the phone with his lawyer friend Marty, Chris runs off and climbs up some rocks only to stumble upon a troubling scene. We first see a trail of bones followed up by some bird carcasses, and then we wrap up the gross with the decapitated body of a cat with its severed head in a nearby bowl.
Oh my God, why? 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 Why?
I'm sitting here going, what the fuck, while Chris is looking at all of this like nothing is going on, his interest more on a beaded shell he finds nearby. And here we see another troubling trend from the writers, Hispanic cast members being so overly religious to the point of mania. Cal takes Chris away from the troubling scene, and then we have yet another weird conversation between the two.
Dad, do you believe in God?
I'll take things kids would never ask on their own for 500, Alex. Yes, I'm well aware that this is set up for things later on in the movie, but come the fuck on, this is comically bad. Cal finally notices that Chris has the wishing shell he picked up from the crime scene and questions him about it briefly. They make it to Marty's office and he starts showing off a ton of magic tricks to emphasize he likes that kind of shit while entertaining Chris and pushing Cal to file a lawsuit against the company who made the murderous coffee machine.
What's this? Bubblegum. Okay. I ever show you this one? Wait a minute. We're in agreement, right? So what's the problem? What is this? My 11 o'clock number. Get a load of this.
Let's do this. Let's put a pin in it. Boop, pin in. There you go.
In my honest opinion, Marty is the best written and most down-to-earth character that they have in this entire movie. This is emblematic when he doesn't just take the I am alright response from Cal and basically tells him to get therapy of his own to deal with the issues that he has over the death of his wife.
I'm alright. That's it? I'm alright? You spend all your time listening to these cops' problems. You can't even talk about your own?
There's also another throwaway comment made by Cal here that had me pondering a bit the first time around.
I'm trying to pick up the pieces. Yeah. It really feels strange being back.
Oh, the city's changed a lot.
Yeah, some days I'm not so sure it was a good idea to bring Chris here.
The pattern of writers depicting anyone that isn't white in the most indecent fashion continues in the next scene when we watch the maid, Carmen, steal what I think is a handkerchief from Cal's home. Other than wondering why she's stealing it in the first place, why the fuck is she ironing it first? What even is the point of that? As soon as Cal gets home, she gives him a housewarming gift from Jessica. Curious how this gift is coming from Carmen and not Jessica, who was there just earlier in the day. Yep, put a pin in that, guys. Off to the airport we go to see a black man with pale blue eyes who is named Paulo according to IMDb in baggage check. Wonder where we've seen someone like that before. Anyways, while the TSA agent is looking at Paulo's things, he digs a little bit too far and gets the full-blown Jedi mind trick treatment.
No need to look in there.
Let me see your identification.
You don't need to see his identification.
We don't need to see his identification.
Now I hear you asking, but what was in the bag, Madam Hellfire? Well, only some clothes, a bunch of what I can only guess are African trinkets, and a giant fucking knife. Cutting back to our main characters again, we see them at the home of some family friends, Kate and Dennis Maslow, for what looks like a dinner party. Though all seems well at first, I found it kinda odd that they had a distinct fascination with African culture, along with Dennis making a sort of gross ambrosia instead of serving cocktails. Something just doesn't feel right about them. Wonder if the ambrosia is gonna come back into play later. Yes, put a pin in it. Kate makes me even more suspicious when she shows a very keen interest in Chris's wishing shell.
So, it's your shell, is it?
Yep.
You seem pretty sure about that.
Yep.
That's a beautiful piece of work. Have you seen this, Kate?
Yes.
The reason the Maslows are so interested in African culture is slightly given in the following scene of the group watching a slideshow, explaining that Kate is an anthropologist and Lisa was her star pupil. Of course, Cal becomes way too emotional about this and has to leave the room. Kate eventually follows him, and when Cal asks if she thinks Chris is alright, she nods emphatically and calls him a remarkable little boy. You're not beating the creep allegations right now, Kate. The day finally ends and we see Carmen cleaning up the place before doing this. Did we just watch her make holy water? Cal tucks Chris in for the night and immediately makes me burst into laughter. Right after longingly looking at a picture of Lisa, he looks out Chris's bedroom window to stare creepily at Jessica, who apparently lives in the building across the street from them. With the way he looks at her, you cannot tell me homeboy isn't mentally fapping to the thought of that woman.
I'm going in my goon cave. Yeah, I know that I'm a goon slave.
And finally, after getting 20 minutes deep into this movie, we get the ritualistic murders talked about in the synopsis. Carmen gets off the subway to find a crowd gathering in front of a theater that's surrounded by police. We step inside with Lieutenant Sean McTaggart to find yet another eye-rolling scene with the seemingly hysterical Hispanic man. And yes, I did indeed note and laugh at the jackass fixing his hair like nothing is happening. We find out the guy who called this in, Lopez, is the same guy who's wailing in Spanish, and the cops definitely know him. We also see a 9-year-old's body taken away and get a much better look at the scene. An altar is set up in front of the ripped theater screen with ritualistic paraphernalia strewn all over it. LT finally talks to Lopez, and this is the gist of what he says in his hysterics while brandishing a gun.
They took my badge! Who took your badge? Who took it? Who took it, Tom? You don't know what they could do to me. You can't stop them. You can't do anything. You don't understand anything. Come on. Oh, come on, Tom. We go by the book. Give me it doesn't work.
He then puts the gun to his head and says, "I'll be safe," before LT jumps into action to stop his Sudoku attempt and subdue him. The movie returns outside with Carmen, and she turns to see Paula walk up behind her. When she turns around again, he's gone. Cal is called in the middle of the night to come talk to Lopez immediately, which he acquiesces to because Lopez is a cop and his whole job is providing therapy to cops. The first thing Lopez asks is if Cal is Catholic before going into another rant.
They know who I am.
Who are they, Tom?
Oh, no. How do I know about you? The spirits helped them. They walked through walls. Don't forget that. They knew that I was onto them. I walked in. They were waiting for me.
Can you identify?
No. When I came to, I found the body. They got my shield. Don't you get it? Oh, they're gonna kill me. I can feel it started already. No. God can't save you. The church can't save you. They get right inside your body. You can't stop them. The 7 powers. You think that you can stop them? You think science can stop them? The eyes. I saw his eyes. They can get to anyone, they can kill anybody. You want them to know who you are, do you?
And yes, I did take note of the charm in Lopez's hand. Also, I want you guys to put a pin in the fact that we see the victim's parents briefly while Cal and LT are headed to the morgue. As soon as they take a look at the body, they have the most disgusted reaction.
Jeez. What kind of a constant does that.
That cannot be a good sign. Cal meets LT at a bar afterwards and we get a few key pieces of information. Lopez's reports are missing, Lopez practices Santeria, and the victim was cut up with unusual precision. Cal starts digging into the history of Santeria and gives us an exposition dump on what it is while flipping through the pages of these books on it. Didn't we hear something about the 7 powers earlier in the movie? And while this is all happening, what is Cal actually thinking about? If your answer to that is Jessica, you're 100% correct.
I'm going in my goon cave. Yeah, I know that I'm a goon slave.
The workers at the place Lopez is being kept at get complacent and distracted, so he decides to jump one of them to escape. And the gooning continues as Cal walks through the fucking rain to give Jessica back her watch, which translates to him being invited into her place.
Goonin', I just goon all day. Goonin', yeah, I'm a straight goon cave slave.
While Cal is busy blowing Jessica's back out, Carmen finds Chris's wishing shell and steals it from him while he's asleep. Chris is more than pissed about his shell being gone when he wakes the next morning and immediately accuses Jessica of taking it like he somehow knows she's seeing Cal. Though his fit would normally be the most concerning part of the scene, what happens as a result of it is what really concerns me the most.
That's one of my hankies, isn't it? Sí, su pañuelo. No es nada malo. Es una cosa que yo hice. She said that she did it. It's not anything bad. Señora, por favor, dígale al doctor que yo soy una especialista en unir dobles. She said she's a kind of matchmaker. Ayante, you know what ayante is? Yeah, what's that got to do with this? Eso es un trabajito que yo hice para... Sí, su jarete lo usé en el trabajito para que ustedes se enamoren. She said she's got a love spell on it. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, you heard that right. Carmen stole Jessica's earring and Cal's handkerchief just so she could put a matchmaking spell on them so they'd start dating. You've gotta be fucking kidding me. Before Cal could even really explore this revelation, LT calls him to let him know that Lopez is now missing and another dead kid was found. This time not only is the ritual site found, but a goat's head is floating in the water nearby and the body was brutalized much more than the last. I also want to note when they show the kid's body, it's very obvious that the actor is breathing. While Cal is trying to keep himself from puking, LT tells him to keep quiet about the case because Lopez is the main subject and they don't want the people to think that a cop was involved in this ritual stuff. Unfortunately, though we know that this isn't the case, we see Paulo cast a spell on Lopez, interspliced with clips of the doomed cop staggering around town. This is interrupted by Cal making a failed attempt to talk with the local shop owner who apparently wrote one of the Santeria books he's been reading. Chris's day only gets worse as we see him start to get frustrated with Carmen's placing religious and ritualistic items in Chris's room. While chastising her, he asks some important questions about Santeria.
Sometimes these things are used in rituals, aren't they?
See?
Sometimes those rituals involve the sacrificing of animals, don't they?
Sometimes.
What is the Circle of Ashes for?
Círculo de Ashes? I don't know nothing about that.
That's not a part of Santeria.
No.
Interesting. We later see Cal and Jessica take Chris to a toy store to pick up something for his birthday, and Chris continues to act up, literally doing the "you're not my mom" line I absolutely expected to come.
You're not my dad!
Cal literally chases him all the way home through traffic, even spanking him in the street. Eventually, he calms Chris down, but before they can even start celebrating his birthday, Lopez calls Cal from a payphone and tells him to meet him at a local diner. He stumbles to the diner, holding his stomach and complaining about snakes as Paulo continues to work his magic. Note that he grabs the cover of a magazine from a nearby stand along the way. Before Cal can even get there to talk to Lopez, he has one final freakout, grabbing a knife from a diner worker behind the counter and literally committing Sudoku in front of everyone there. The only clue that was left at the site by Lopez is the magazine cover from earlier with a message written in the man's collar. It's not long before Cal figures out what that means and ends up with LT at a troubled children and rehab center where the store owner from earlier, Oscar, volunteers at. And on the wall of that center is that same magazine cover. We learn even more tiny snippets of information from Oscar's questioning. His own kid died of a drug overdose. Lopez was a volunteer at the center. One of the victims was a kid that frequented the center and allegedly ran away recently, and Lopez was a teacher of one of the victims. As LT leaves, he decides to make the most racist remark possible and leaves his card with Oscar.
You know what I'd really like to do? I'd like to put this monkey on a grill and fry his ass.
Pinning that! The speech Oscar gives directly after this would be very moving in any other movie. But even if the message is sound, it comes off as being patronizing with the blatant mischaracterization of every character that isn't white.
My God, do you really think we're savages? That we'd be capable of killing children?
You said in your book that human sacrifice was practiced at one time.
Name me one religion where atrocities have not been committed in the name of a god. Santeria is a force for good. It is not a blood cult trading on innocent lives.
What are you people so afraid of?
Of your ignorance, of your prejudice, because you use it as a weapon against us.
The anger in the room dissipates when Cal agrees that he believes Lopez is innocent, and we get the exact reason why that magazine cover keeps popping up. Robert Calder is a major contributor to the center, and both Lopez and Oscar know him directly. Oscar agrees to help Cal get into one of Calder's fundraisers, and we cut to see Carmen performing a ritual with a wishing shell as if she knows something is about to go wrong. And she's right.
Libra, Chris Jameson de todo mal. Dad, can we stop by the church? Why, babe? I want to light a candle for Mom.
After a brief scene in a church, we jump to Cal and Jessica attending Calder's fundraiser, sipping on a drink that grosses Jessica out. Taking that pin out? Apparently, Calder lost his son 5 years ago to a drug overdose, stating that it helped him find his faith. Interesting coincidence. And my hackles just keep raising with a passing comment from a random couple.
Would you like a cigar? Oh, no, thanks. I'm trying to cut down. Smoke attracts the gods.
It makes them want to join the party.
Jessica steps away, and of fucking course, Paulo is there. While Jessica is in the bathroom, she overhears a conversation between Oscar and Calder. She sees Oscar give Calder LT's card, and ooh boy, we about to see that asshole get fucked. Once they are fully gone, Jessica sneaks into Calder's office and finds a really interesting paperweight on his desk. And she forgot something.
Oh no! Oh no! No, 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 no.
You in danger, girl.
Does anyone want to guess what Jessica does as soon as she gets back to her tainted makeup?
She's dead!
I can't facepalm any harder. We come back to the party with Jessica, and holy fuck, that's the first kid's parents! The staff start collecting donations while bongos play, and Paulo hops in the middle of the room to start gyrating like a fucking weirdo. Just look at this shit. That very well could be actual African dancing, but it looks so damn forced that it's comical. Wait, why is every woman there cumming themselves? And why weren't his eyes blue? Whatever the hell is happening stops when he, has mind sex with Jessica? I guess we'll never know because Oscar intervenes and they start fighting in a language I don't recognize while the couple quickly leaves. Things don't get any better when they get home because they catch Carmen performing some kind of ritual on Chris, which officially gets her rightfully fired. We cut back to LT while the card given to Calder is used in another ritual like Lopez. Cal shows up at the police station and we're told that there were news reporting stating both Oscar's and Calder's kids died of an overdose, which I don't buy in the slightest because their autopsy reports are magically missing. LT tells Cal flat out that they're dropping the case and saddling Lopez with a two murders, looking extremely terrified as he does so. The final nail in the coffin as to why they're doing this comes when they take a trip to see Lopez's body, which was found to be full of snakes. His guts were full of culebras. With how horrid things have been, Cal has Chris go stay somewhere away from the city with the Maslows for his own safety. Even upon first watch, this made me extremely uneasy. The only tiny bit of brevity we get in this situation is Chris apologizing to Jessica before he leaves. This is the point where we're gonna get into some spoiler-heavy territory, so if you want to watch the movie on your own, I highly suggest that you stop this video, go watch it, and then come back once you're done. Cool? Cool. Let's get back to the movie. Cal takes the wishing shell to Oscar to find that it isn't an item of Santeria, but brujeria. He says this is considered the dark counterpart of Santeria, but a quick Google search tells me this is a crock of shit, so I'll chalk it up to blatant racism on the part of the writers. We do, however, finally get an answer as to what's been going on here.
What the hell does it have to do with my son?
There was a ritual when the tribe was threatened by drought, flood, or destruction by its enemies. 3 children were offered to the god.
Sacrificed?
Elder sons sacrificed by their fathers. Last child of the summer solstice.
Why?
To gain power, to destroy their enemies.
We also get confirmation that Carmen was trying to protect Chris. Calder is the one who called Palos to the States, and that they need protection because they are now in the crosshairs of the cult. Luckily for them, Oscar is a Santero and can cast the spell of protection. After this is completed, Cal sets about trying to contact LT while we see what looks like a pimple on Jessica's face, which only has more tainted makeup put on it. Yeah, it's not a pimple. Whatever it is, it continues to grow larger the next time we see her, and oh boy am I getting deja vu. My suspicions about the Maslows are confirmed. We see Kate on the phone with Cal while sitting across from Calder, and Paulo is fishing on the dock with Chris. Jessica's condition only seems to worsen, and now I realize exactly why I feel I've seen this before. Please don't be what I think it is. Cal receives another phone call from LT asking him to come to his house, and when he gets there, he finds a horrid sight.
Who is it?
LT is in the same mental state as Lopez was, unable to move from his spot due to the curse placed upon him. His last gift to Cal is a file with proof that Calder's son didn't die of an overdose. he was ritualistically sacrificed. LT turns his gun on himself and starts to pray to God, Cal taking the gun away thinking he just saved him before leaving the room. As soon as Cal is out of earshot, LT pulls a gun from an ankle holster on his left leg and rids himself of his curse forever. Jessica looks even worse when we return to her, and oh my god, it is what I think it is! Cal is only able to intervene and save her just in time because he gets home at the specific moment where he can look out his window and see her flailing in her apartment across the street. While he's at the hospital, a message is left by Kate on his answering machine, warning him about what is to come. And of course, Paulo intervenes before she can conspire to save Chris. Marty picks Cal up, driving him to the Maslow's vacation home where the worst is about to happen. At least Cal had the foresight to give Marty LT's gun before he left him in the car. That dinner Kate said she was planning for that evening? Yeah, it's actually a ploy to get Cal to sacrifice Chris and complete the ritual. Marty realizes that something is definitely wrong when he sees a set of cars parked deep in the woods as if they're trying to be hidden. We also see a photo on the wall of the Maslow's house of a very familiar couple. Yeah, the Maslows are the same people who sacrificed their son at the beginning of the movie. With Kate nowhere to be found, Dennis plies Cal with alcohol before trying to convince him to sacrifice his son to complete the ritual.
Haven't I ever told you this story? Worst drought in 50 years. Then cholera. We saw half the tribe decimated. Daniel was only 4 years old. I'd argued against bringing him. Kate insisted. She couldn't bear to leave him that long. Then when Daniel took sick, the elders of the tribe came to see us. We developed a trust with them by then. A bond that they suggested seemed unthinkable. Against nature. But you see, Cal, Daniel was so clearly beyond any medical help. His outsiders was really a great honor. Daniel was very brave. And the drought did end Cal. We were delivered. The life of another child was saved. A most remarkable child, Cal. Over the years, he's grown so special to us. Almost like a son. He's taught us so much.
Tiffy time!
This is so beyond reprehensible, I'm at a complete loss for words. After Paulo arrives, Calder enters the room with all the honeyed words that he believes would convince Cal to comply with their disgusting plans. The way Calder describes all of this makes my skin fucking crawl.
Personal desires. Oh, yes, of course, anything. That's part of it. It's only the beginning. There was a time, Cal, when man was at one with the gods before the fall. Now we're at one again, and their benediction is power.
What the hell did I just watch?
In come all the parents to the children who were sacrificed for this power, and Cal responds by trying to run away to no avail. Whatever they put in his drink takes hold, and he's taken to the final ritual site, Calder giving him alcohol the whole way there. Cal is a complete zombie by the time they get to the final ritual site, and he's easily led to the altar where a sleeping Chris lay and where the rest of the cult waits with bated breath. Unfortunately for them, Cal's a great actor. He notices Marty quietly waiting at the top floor with LT's gun, and as soon as he's given the ceremonial knife, he does this.
Do you believe?
Ibidala.
Ibidala.
Yes, I do believe.
This is Marty's cue to start busting caps and cultist asses, giving Calder just enough time to grab Chris and make a break for it. And yet again, my skin is absolutely crawling because he starts saying Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater to Chris while he tries to kidnap him. Cal and Marty run as fast as they can after them, making the stupid decision to split up. Paulo takes Marty and Calder takes Cal.
Let me go!
Chris! Goddamn Chris!
Dad!
Stop! Marty gets a poison dart to the back for his troubles, and Paulo cockily takes the opportunity to try and finish him off once his bullets are spent. That's quite literally the best I cast fireball scene I've seen in a long time. Cal prompts another rousing monologue from Calder, distracting him just long enough to grab Chris and send the corrupt businessman straight to hell. The two take off running, trying to escape this hellish warehouse and get to safety.
I always come back.
Of course he's not dead. Though this is rather annoying, we do see the damage done to Paulo's face when Chris distracts him.
You ugly bitch.
What happens next is way too fucking weird to describe, so I'm just gonna have to show you.
Come to me.
No. You come to me.
Liu Kang wins. Flawless victory. Fatality.
Get shit on! Get shit on!
We then cut to what looks like the happiest ending and the perfect life for this family on a huge ranch in the countryside. Up until the dog starts signaling at the barn. Cal steps inside, climbs up to the loft, and finds...
did it. For us.
Well, that was something. Definitely not the movie I was expecting, that's for sure. Overall, this movie was a complete shitfest. When the reviews mentioned rampant racism being in this movie, I didn't initially believe them, but holy hell, they weren't wrong. Only 2 scenes actually got my heart racing, and the rest had me either cringing or bursting out into laughter. How this was touted as a good horror movie is beyond me. The acting was either patronizing or downright annoying, the story was so fucking stupid I barely paid attention the first time I watched the movie, and even the little bits of mildly eyebrow-raising gotcha moments fell flat. I had picked this movie hoping I would enjoy it, but alas, I am cursed with terrible movies to review. I wouldn't suggest watching this one, but if you like haphazard B-movie schlock, this is right up your alley. Anyways, happy Halloween, have a wonderful spooky evening, and sweet nightmares. I just wanted to take the time to thank my Patreons and channel members. Your support is so appreciated. If you are not a channel member or Patreon and you would like to become one, there's a link in the description below. All channel members and Patreons receive 24 hours early access to all content posted on both of my channels. And all Patreons or channel members of the $10 Hellhound tier can request one horror-related video or stream topic, or one horror-related game that I play on my live streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Again, thank you so much for supporting the channel and the content that I make.